Hello ladies and gentlemen, let me talk about a topic that is of interest to most Africans, Kenyans included. How do you finance house construction? House construction is one of the things that people desire to be able to do, to have their own roof that people are not asking for rent. How do you go about financing this ideal thing? The first thing that we'll talk about is 100% funding. If you desire, you could be able to take 100% funding, but here are some of the conditions that may be there. If you take 100% funding, it means that you may be in debt for a longer period of time, and especially if the loan terms are not as good or the interest rate is not as good, you may end up paying for this house more than you may desire to be able to pay for it. So 100% funding may also force you to be in a situation or with an employer that you may not be able to move, because by moving you may suffer some financial hiccups which the lender may not desire of you to be able to do. You may be fixed in a certain relationship with an employer and in a certain situation because you need to pay for the monthly payments, and if it is 100% funding, you may be forced for a longer period of time to be in this situation. You may also be forced you may also be limited in terms of your mobility. You may not move to a different town, because why would you be paying for a loan for a house and not stay in that house and paying rent for another house in another location? You may not even have the flexibility to move in a different country to pursue opportunities. This is because you have a longer period of time that you need to pay for this loan, which you would otherwise lose were you not be able to pay for the monthly payment. So 100% funding is good in terms of your cash flow. You may not need to have your own investment in there, maybe just land, but it is bad because it fixes you in this situation for a longer period of time. And remember, if house construction, from the beginning approval to the construction and to the occupation of this house, if it takes more than 6 months, it means that you will be paying for a loan for 6 months and still be paying your own rent, especially if it was a personal house. So do you want to be in the 6 months to pay rent and to pay for the loan and not be able to use the house for which you intended it for, simply because it is still under construction? So these are some of the factors that you need to keep in mind. Are you willing to have the 6 months still paying for the loan without having occupied the house, or are you not willing to do the same? So 100% funding comes with challenges. If you get a good rate, then probably you can be able to pursue it. If the cash flow need of every other month, paying every other month, is not as great, say for example, if you make a net income of say 200,000 Kenya shillings or thereabout, and your house construction loan is around 50,000, then 150,000 could meet your expenses. It may be more favorable than a person who is making 120 and paying the same 50,000, because they only left with 70,000 as cash flow to be able to meet their desired needs. So again, this is also a proportionate of the amount that you are paying vis-a-vis the income that is coming in. If the rate that you are earning is higher than the rate that you are paying, then it is better. But if you are going to constantly stretch and squeam for the next say 5 years or so, or how long the loan takes, then maybe this type or this way of funding may not be the right way for you. Of course, the other item would be building slowly savings. So saving slowly and having all the money in check before you start construction. The problem with this is that you may take a lot longer to actually start construction, because saving may take a lot longer than you think. Of course, there are people who have arrangements such that instead of saving in a traditional bank, and because they do not want the escalating expenses in construction, the inflationary effect on the construction items, they end up buying things like sand, things like stones, things like cement, and keep in a specific place for a period of time so that they can get a good price now, even though they're planning to build in the next 2 years. So sometimes these arrangements work if you are financially disciplined. Use this system if you are financially disciplined. If you do not have a good standing. Maybe you are self-employed and people may not want to give loans to self-employed people. Maybe you're also trying to reduce the effect of loan interest on the overall investment. So if those are the desires that you have, or if you already have a chunk of savings and you're only adding up to it, then it makes financial sense to pay for your construction from your savings. This is because you can always gauge and always measure how much you need to pay, and your cash flow may not be affected because it is voluntary, meaning that you can save a little bit more when you have the money, a little bit less. If you have a certain competing interest, you can take care of that. Your flexibility in this case is a lot more. And you can also have the flexibility of changing design and doing this. This is because even if the timeline of construction changes, you are not in a desperate situation because you're not paying for two things, rent and the construction loan, because you are financing your own construction. This is perfectly desirable, especially if you are disciplined, you are capable, and you may not want to incur debt or may not qualify in the eyes of the lender to require this loan for this period of time. That is also a good way to be able to go about investing or financing your house construction. Then there is a hybrid way. You can be able to have partly savings and partly funding. For example, and this is a good way to be able to go about it. If you're going to finance, say for example, all the approvals, all the land preparation, all the layouts and all the designs and all the construction up to, say for example, the lintel from savings, it may make a lot of sense because you'd shorten the amount of time that you would need to take a loan to bridge the finance. And this shorter period of time may be like 3 months or 2 months, in which case you'll only have to pay for a loan for 2 months and rent for 2 months in the same time. And it could be able to allow you the flexibility to be able to not have cash flow going out of your pocket. This is because the amount of loan that you take is a lot less than a person who is taking 100% financing. So you can be able to take this route if you can be able to save for a period of time, be able to reach construction from your savings to a specific time, and be able to take loan for a period of time to be able to finance the difference. This is especially helpful if you cannot acquire a bigger loan from a lender. Maybe you are slightly a little bit risky to be able to give a loan. If you are not in a desire to be able to be fully financed by the bank, so if you do not want to incur too much in terms of interest rate, loans and all these things, then it is also a lot better. The other thing is you may be more attractive to a lender simply because you have already started the project and you have the drawings and all these things and something on the ground that may act as a security for this lender. So it is not a personal loan. There is something that can be seen on the ground, and because of this you may be able to incur a little bit lower interest charges on your loan. And because it is not bigger, it will also be shorter. So if the 100% fully financed loan will take say 6 years, you might find yours may take 3 years, and in only 3 years you will be debt free and with a house with value that is growing for your pocket. So this is a good system if you are looking at reducing your risk, reducing the amount of interest that would otherwise be charged, reducing the impact on your cash flow, and paying less in interest charges. It is even better if you are able to negotiate a good rate as opposed to somebody who is seeking 100% funding and everything depends on this funding, and this might be a bit problematic and a lot more undesirable in terms of their personal input, in terms of doing all these things and all this planning without having the money itself. But having your own savings to a certain point allows you to start and be able to move and be able to incur charges as they come, and you may end up, surprisingly, because of the many people that I've talked to, people who start construction with their own savings end up actually needing less than the 50%. This is because as they are constructing, there is a lot more money that is coming and a lot more other revenues or income streams that they never anticipated. And also because they have gotten the drive because of the construction having started, they find other incomes also come. And because they're spending a lot of their time in their construction sites, sometimes they end up spending less in social activities, in meeting friends and pubs and all these things. And this money again comes towards the house construction. In the end, only needing like 40% or 30% in terms of loan top up to be able to do the roofing and the finishing of the house. So these are some of the things that could be able to look into. Again, you could be able to do savings. If you are the kind of person who is incapable of saving at all, or you have no financial discipline to allow you to be able to save and invest, you could be able to do a construction as a way of saving and investment simply by getting money and buying the items that need to go into the house construction. Things to do like sand, concrete, in terms of the stones, in terms of the cement, in terms of the stones. You can be able to actually do that, and you cannot be able to convert these stones into cash again, and in a way fixes you in a way to be able to save and invest, especially if you are not as disciplined. I hope that you are learning, you are growing, and you're becoming better. You can be able to share on ways that you have been able to finance your house construction to be able to help other people in their journey towards house construction. Leave a comment down in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, and like this video. I hope that you are learning, you're growing, and you're becoming better. Thank you, and enjoy your day.